What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Patriots Pulse podcast. Today, it's me once again. Andrew will not be surprised joining us today, but it's honestly a very impulsive and just like last minute. Why don't I go live? Why don't I just talk Patriots with some of you guys? I had a lot of fun on Monday. I know Andrew did too. Just talking ball with you guys, going over the Patriots signings in real time. That was a whirlwind of emotions from the Chris Godwin signing, which really bummed everybody out, to Milton Williams supposedly going to the Panthers, and then like an hour later, right before I got off, he ended up signing with the Patriots, and then I stayed on for another hour. I was on for like I think three in total. So it was a really fun time on Monday. I appreciate everybody that was tuned into the chat, just engaging, talking to me, talking ball. Like I said, lots and lots of fun. So with that being said, um, lots of stuff happened today. We had the press conference with Mike Vrabel. Elliot Wolf spoke. We had most of the day one free agent signings come speak. Lots and lots of little things to talk about from there. Besides that, just recently, I would say not even an hour ago, maybe just an hour ago, the Patriots signed Caleb on Chason. So that's another edge guy that goes into that room and adds much needed depth. So we can definitely talk about that. But besides that, like I said, this is very like impulsive and last minute, and I just wanted to go live, talk to you guys. So feel free, message me in the chat. Let's talk. But with that being said, I did ask you guys on Twitter to drop some Patriots questions. So I thought, why not answer them live? And then if anyone has anything to say, just drop it in the comments. We can go from there. So we'll just jump right into it. We'll jump into the first one. I'll literally just go one by one through the questions. Let's see. The first one, and like I said, I didn't prepare for this, so I apologize. I have the first one here. It's, do you have any intel/insight on Barmore status? Big difference if he is in versus out. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm a fan just like the rest of you guys. Sure, like every like once in a blue moon, I might find out something randomly, but it's never been anything huge. So I don't want you guys to assume that I have like sources and I have an in with the Patriots organization. I don't. I'm a fan just like all of you guys. So with Barmore status, even the Patriots personnel doesn't know. They get very iffy whenever they start talking about him. So there's no need, like there's literally nothing that we can really talk about when it comes to Barmore other than we have to hope that he's healthy for his sake, not even just for like football, just for his sake. Once we find out that he's okay, for like the longevity of his life, that's when we can start talking about football. So there's been nothing really that's come out about his health other than that he's working out in Tampa, and working out is much different than playing football. So that's still very much very much up in the air. Hopefully he's healthy for football, for like the Patriots sake, and then that would be amazing with him and Milton Williams. I think they would be a perfect match for one another up the middle of the Patriots defense. So we'll just keep him in our thoughts and prayers. Honestly, that's all we can really do. Just hope that everything goes well with him. Really quick, now that I'm thinking about it, it's gonna look funky for a little bit. Let me add this. Okay. I'm thinking, why not just share my screen? You guys will see my my Twitter screen. All right. I hope you can see it correctly. We'll jump to the next question. So this one is from Kodal K. Why are there so many people against drafting Tedero and McMillan? I think with McMillan in particular, there's been, I don't want to say it's prospect fatigue, because it's not like he was some 3-year like big name prospect or just someone that was on the scene right away as a freshman. It's not like that's not the case with him. I just think that they overhyped him, and now that it's getting reported that maybe he's not going to get drafted top 5 like a lot of people were saying, or top 10, now people are trying to underrate him. So it's just been a big swing of the pendulum. It's been big one way overrating him and just talking him up like a bigger prospect than he would be in any other big wide receiver draft class, compared to now people thought it got too far, and rightfully so. Like, it got too far, and now it's going swaying the other way, that people are just saying like, yeah, like, he's not good. Like, why would the Patriots draft him? I completely disagree. I will say though, I think that the next wide receiver, or you could call it like Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, it's whatever you prefer, but I would say I think the next wide receiver off the board is closer in talent to him. And I mentioned this on Monday as well, that when I don't want to get into Will Campbell, but like Will Campbell in particular, I think there's a bigger gap between Will Campbell and the next left tackle compared to the gap between Tedero McMillan and the next wide receiver off the board. So that doesn't mean that he sucks. That doesn't mean that the Patriots shouldn't take him. But I would say that's where a lot of the argument comes from people. It's just that they're getting kind of tired of hearing his name, and now it's the narrative has become like he's just a slow wide receiver that you shouldn't draft, which isn't the case. I would not be upset if the Patriots drafted him. Maybe not at number 4. Maybe at number 4 that would annoy me a little bit. I wouldn't hate it, but at trading back and then taking him, yes, that would make me happy. Like, I would not be opposed to it whatsoever. Any offensive help, or do they plan on winning 4 games? Trey, I will say this. I don't understand why a lot of people keep saying that like the Patriots need to get offensive help. And I'm not saying that they don't. Don't take it like that. I'm not saying the Patriots don't need offensive help. I'm just saying, where are they supposed to get it from? Because I'm honestly not opposed to the fact that they didn't trade for DK Metcalf. He's not some elite wide receiver that, like, yes, he would be the best wide receiver, but trading a high second round pick for him, pick 38, and then paying him $150 million for over 5 years would have been malpractice, in all honesty. I would say it's like T. Higgins would be better than him. I'd rather do that with T. Higgins than DK Metcalf, in all honesty. So it's definitely like, when it, like, I mean, right now, like, the big topic of discussion is Cooper Kupp. That one would be a little bit surprising to me if they don't pay him the money he wants, just because they have the money to spend. It's not like, I'm pretty sure projections right now have him at like 80 million in cap space, maybe a little bit, like maybe around that. And if you have 80 million in cap space, but you don't want to pay Cooper Kupp 15 million a year, that's when it's kind of like, okay, that was a clear opportunity to get offensive help. But when it comes to wide receivers, yes, I can get the argument a little bit. They tried for Chris Godwin. Clearly things didn't work out. He wanted to go back to Tampa Bay. Like, what are you going to do? But in terms of tackle, I've been hearing so many people say like, oh, why aren't they getting Drake May tackle help? Why aren't they addressing the left tackle position? I don't know where you guys think that's magical left tackle that's going to fix all the problems is coming from, unless you look at the draft. There's nothing on the free agent market. Stud left tackles do not hit the free agent market, and there's literally nothing the Patriots can do. So if your idea of offensive tackle help or left tackle help is Cam Robinson, I don't know what to tell you, because it's like, yes, that, I mean, his whole situation is so unique, just because stats wise he has been literally worse than Vidarian Lowe, but there's that narrative that he's better than Vidarian Lowe, and I personally think he is better than Vidarian Lowe, but it's just one of those weird things that it's like that's what I'm saying. It's a unique situation. But if we sign Cam Robinson, do I assume, oh, that's tackle help, that's offensive help, we're gonna win games now just because we signed someone for the offense? No, I would not think that. So it's honestly up to the draft. Like, this is where teams become elite, is through the draft. So it's a matter of them drafting correctly at not even just left tackle and wide receiver, but on the offensive side of the ball in general. Same question from Andy. Are the Patriots going to sign any more offensive line help in free agency? I would assume so. I don't see them being completely out on offensive linemen. There's still some quality guys there, or that left on the free agent market. Now center is going to be something that a lot of people are going to connect the Patriots to. So we'll see if they sign anybody. I put out a little list today from their in-house options, which is, why am I blanking? Cole Strange, Jake Andrews, and Ben Brown. And then for Jake Andrews in particular, I mean, Cole Strange, obviously, first round pick. They had him start at center for the last couple of games of the season last year. Obviously, shaky because he's never played center before. But Jake Andrews in particular, he was a fourth round pick. Bill Belichick drafted him, and you would assume that he drafted him with the idea of him um, playing after David Andrews retired. Obviously, that didn't play out with Bill Belichick staying here, but Jake Andrews got hurt last season, didn't play at all. So he's someone that could be a potential option. I really like the idea of Andre James, who was the Raiders starting center. They recently released him. He worked with Josh McDaniels when he was in Vegas. So I like he's a clear connection. They've been signing guys that have connections to their coaching staff. And then who was the other one? Daniel Brunskill from the Titans. He bit you could call him a bit of a journeyman lineman, but he started at center. I think the last like 2 or 3 years for the Titans. I might be wrong. Don't take me on that, but um, he had a really good season last year. So he's still available. I could see a world where they sign him just because he already worked with Vrabel. So those are definitely options for them if we're looking at centers in particular. Next question I didn't realize was what is the plan at center? That would be my little rundown. They definitely have in-house options, so I don't think it's going to be like a crazy, I guess you could say like a desperate need in their mind. Um, I do think that with the three guys, Ben Brown, Cole Strange, Jake Andrews, they have some sort of tell if they like them or if they should sign guys on the free agent market. And like I said, there's two guys with clear connections to the coaching staff that have plenty of tape, experience, and just like I said, the built-in relationship already with the staff. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for them to find someone to fill in for them. Do we all show up to Gillette Stadium wearing either all black or David Andrews jerseys to remember his career in New England? Yeah, that David Andrews news, that was really odd. I mean, I took it as like he's retiring, but they also made it sound like if he chooses, like he wants to continue playing, and the Patriots chose to release him. So it's like a really weird situation. I don't if he really does want to keep playing, and he could have still kept playing, I feel bad for him just because like he put so much into this organization, and then he's like honestly a franchise legend, and then he just gets cut. So it's really odd. I yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna find out more within the coming days um, if he's just gonna retire outright, and rather than just saying like, oh, I'd rather play for, or I might play for another organization if they give me the right opportunity. I don't really see that happening unless it's the Falcons. In all honesty, just because he's from Georgia, and I think he in a podcast he had mentioned like the idea of moving back to Georgia once he retired. So who knows if maybe the Falcons give him an opportunity. I'm not sure if they filled in their center position because they lost Drew Dahlman in free agency. So maybe they have an opening at center, and I don't know, they're interested in having him fill in for them. But yeah, that would be the only other option in my mind. Actually, we have some questions here. I was going to talk on the offensive side about for the Pats draft on O-line or receiver. Who do you think are the most potential fit options at running back round 2 to pair with Ramondre? So my form of thinking has always been they just signed Ramondre to an extension. They just signed Antonio Gibson last season in free agency. And maybe, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised the way the front office and just overall regime in New England was ran last season that they didn't plan ahead and realize like this is a generational draft class coming up in the following year. Let's not extend a guy. Let's not sign a guy in free agency for 3 years. I would not be shocked if they didn't even. I mean, I'm not sitting here acting like if I'm some GM and they're dumb, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't think that far ahead. But what I'm trying to say is that I just if they draft someone, I would assume it's going to be day 3, and I would assume it's going to be someone that's just going to either fill in a pass catching role or just be like a developmental back that might. Like they're probably going to make the team, but there's a chance. There's no guarantee they will, if that makes sense. Like someone that comes to mind is like a Kevin Harris when he was drafted a couple years ago. I believe he was a 6th round pick, and then I don't even think he made the team, but he stuck around on the practice squad for years, for like 2 or 3 years. So I could see that being the case again. However, like I said, this is a generational running back class. I I have like my little prediction that it's going to be the most running backs drafted ever in a draft class, and that's not even including the undrafted free agents because there's a lot of good projected UDFA's. Um, but my favorite, if we're talking about like a pass catching guy, like I mentioned, it would be Woody Marks out of USC. That guy is literally like a wide receiver out of the backfield. And if you talk about someone filling in that James White role, which people love to bring up with Josh McDaniels, he would be a perfect fit for that. Marcus Yarns out of Delaware would be another really, really good option. He even teams even requested to have him train as a wide receiver when he was at the senior, not the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and he would be another option. The only thing, like I'm saying, pass catching role. Antonio Gibson was a wide receiver at Memphis and got drafted as a running back into the NFL. So that's why it's like an odd situation for me or to me, just because like they signed these guys, they extended Ramondre, they signed Antonio Gibson, and both of them can fill the roles that the Josh McDaniels offense requires. I would say now that I'm thinking about it, it would be kind of cool and beneficial for them to get like just a bruising running back, just like a bowling ball of a guy. um, and the one that comes to mind, honestly, is Taj Brooks. I can't remember if he's from Oklahoma or Texas A&M, um, but he's a big, big running back, like just a big dude that you just put him on like in goal line packages, and he's going to break through the defensive line. So that's another name to look out. And like I said, these are all like day three guys. Um, that because I don't think the Patriots are going to invest big, like heavy capital into the running back position. And if they do, I would kind of question it a little bit personally, just because it's that type of draft class that really good running backs are going to be available day three. And you can definitely have them sit behind your running backs and, just learn, take maybe a redshirt year, or just play limited snaps and then take over a big role the next year. Let's see. 12 million for Cup. Too much money after looking all the contracts that were here. They need she's in Drake, man, could go crazy. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I said it earlier. I think if there's no reason for them not to give him 15 million. Like that wouldn't make any sense for them to say like, oh no, that's too much money when you have like 80 million in cap space right now. I understand. I would completely understand if it comes out that he's asking for like a 3-year contract, like 3-year contract for a 31-year-old wide receiver, and he's asking for 15 million a year. Yes, that's when I would be like, okay, I understand why they were being stingy about it. But if it comes out that he signs like a 1-year, 2-year deal for $15 million with like the first year at like 14, second year at like 16, something like that, then I'd be confused as to why they wouldn't want to do it. I think we got a very good look into what Vrabel's thinking is. He mentioned Alonzo Highsmith, one of the executives in the Patriots front office today. During the press conference, he said that Alonzo Highsmith constantly reminds him that guys are always available and they become available when you don't expect it, throughout the entire NFL season. So I think him saying that makes me think that they're expecting somebody to become available, and they're just waiting on the right guy. Because perfect example, no one thought DK Metcalf was going to request a trade. He randomly became available. They were somewhat in on him, and then they decided that he wasn't a good fit or something. And like I said, I'm kind of glad that they didn't get him. Yes, he would have been an upgrade, but just I mentioned it already. But all I'm trying to say is that if someone becomes available that the Patriots want, best believe that they're going to go all in on that guy. They're going to go all in trying to acquire that number one wide receiver. And when Vrabel brought this up, like the concept of someone becoming available whenever throughout the whole NFL season, like it could happen at any moment. He was talking about wide receiver in particular. So yes, AJ Brown obviously would come to mind. I've always been in the camp, and not to be the party pooper, but I've always been in the camp that like, why would they trade him, and why would he want to be traded? But that's like a perfect example. Like you never know. You never know if he requests a trade. Like I said, best believe the Patriots are going to be all in on him because that is Vrabel's guy. Someone else that comes to mind is like T. Higgins. We don't know how they feel about him, but if it comes out that the Bengals and T. Higgins are not going anywhere with contract negotiations and he's still on that franchise tag, there's a very, very good chance that they could say, you know what, we're just going to trade him, just so we don't leave empty-handed from this whole situation. And then Patriots are right there waiting when other teams like the Steelers, for example, have already swung big and paid a wide receiver a lot of money and traded a second round pick. And it just kind of takes people out of the race for that wide receiver. So I do think that's where they're trying to be cautious. At some point, I feel like they might be too cautious, but Vrabel also mentioned today that this is going to be like he didn't say this word for word. I'm just paraphrasing, but essentially saying that they're just laying the foundation, and like the free agents that they brought in are just the beginning. Like they have years to build, and if they don't get a wide receiver one, like a big name wide receiver, this offseason or during the season, that doesn't mean that next offseason, even bigger name. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like if Justin Jefferson were to say like, you know what, I'm requesting a trade, like it could happen next year as well. And I know people don't want to keep playing that waiting game, especially because one, Drake May needs to develop, and two, Drake May's on his rookie contract. So yes, it's like a very, very risky game to play, but I think that's where their mind's at. I think that they just made up their mind that we're not going to just pounce at the first opportunity. We're going to be patient, and we're just going to accumulate either capital or just build something before we add that final piece to the puzzle. So that was a very long-winded answer to the whole Cup situation. That, yeah, I mean, if they pay him 15 million, that I don't think that hinges their ability to trade for a wide receiver if one were to become available. Let's see, where was I at? Will the Patriots continue to make signings and trades? If so, when? Sorry, I don't really have a good gauge on that. They're gonna, I guarantee, like they just made a signing right now for Caleb on Chason. So they're gonna continue to make little signings. Vrabel even said it during his introductory press conference that there's guys that he said the first couple of days of free agency, or like I think he said like the first day or two, is the big money guys. Those are the guys that are gonna make the biggest impact and have a role when they show up. And then towards the tail end of the week is guys that are looking for an opportunity. So Caleb on Chason, perfect example of a guy that's probably looking for an opportunity, and he sees the Patriots as a team that can give him that chance. So it's not going to be big name guys. I know people are going to take Cam Robinson like as an example and say like, oh, that's a big name guy. But in reality, that's just a guy looking for an opportunity. He's looking for a team that needs a left tackle, and that's going to allow him to prove himself to earn an even bigger contract if it's just like a 1 or 2 year deal. Let me just go to the chat really quick. Where do you think Cup is going? This is so tough. Karen Garegian from Mass Live, she reported today that there were 5 teams in the mix. In the morning, Adam Schefter, or actually, I think it was last night, Adam Schefter reported that there were 12 plus teams in the mix. And then just right now, right before I went live, Mike Garafolo said that the market is very, very hot for Cooper Kupp, and that he has a lot of teams like asking for his services, if you want to put it like that. So I do think that it's honestly up in there. The one that makes the most sense for me, there's two teams that make the most sense for me. There's Seattle, just because they traded away their best wide receiver, if you want to call it their second best wide receiver, however you view JSN. They traded away DK. They released Tyler Lockett. They only have JSN there. Like who's there to catch a pass from their new QB Sam Darnold? So he would make a lot of sense in Seattle. And like I said, he's from there. He went to school there. He's from the area. Like that's his coming home parade. The other team that would make a lot of sense, I think the Denver Broncos could be a sneaky team to sign him. He said he wants to stay on the West Coast. That's closer to the West Coast, obviously, than New England. I think that would make a lot of sense, just that because they're a sneaky team that can make a run, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just somehow Sean Payton convinces him to go there. And obviously the Chargers come to mind too, but I would say the Seahawks and the Broncos are the two that I could see him going to. If he wants to be the guy in the wide receiver room, then he's going to go to the Patriots. And if they offer him the most money, but at the end of the day, we don't really know what he's thinking. And that kind of segues into that what you just commented, is no one knows. when the Rams announced that they were gonna cut him, he said that, or they were gonna trade him, he said that he wants to win championships. So that would tell you that he wants to go to a contender. But now, if you look at the reports, it's his asking price is too high. So it's like a disconnect. It's that constant thing, like how DK Metcalf wanted warm weather, which was essentially code for, if you're in a cold weather state or region, pay me more money. So I'm assuming that's kind of what Cooper Cup is doing right now. Like, obviously, I don't know what's going on in negotiations. I don't know what he's thinking and what he's prioritizing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, if you're not a contender, then you're gonna have to pay me more. Um, and then at the end of the day, it's just up to him, because he's been in LA for his whole career. So I don't know if he has kids or anything, but it's obviously going to be like a family decision, as well as like, as to, okay, where are we going to move to now? Are we going to move across the country to New England if they offer me the most money? Um, let's see. Genuinely, what are we going to do about the receiving room and left tackle? I think you meant left guard. Left tackle, left guard, and center. Do they expect to get all those things from the draft? I'd rather focus on the O line and protect our franchise QB rather than get him a stud wide receiver. I actually agree with that. I'd much rather. I trust Drake May much more to elevate wide receivers with more time in the pocket, rather than having a stud wide receiver and getting demolished in the pocket every single play. Um, I think a stud wide receiver, I mentioned it earlier, like a better one, and one that fits whatever their mold is, could become available closer to the season, draft time, next off season. I think that that's one that you don't need to put at the very, very front in terms of priorities. I think left tackle is the one that's when you said, to expect, would I expect to get all those things from the draft? That's one that you address in the draft. You take a guy, because you're not going to trade for a stud left tackle. I know the Commanders just traded for Laramie Tunsil. He's Laramie Tunsil has the name right now. He's no longer like the truly, truly, truly elite left tackle that he once was. I'm not saying that he's just bad, but he's up there in age. Like, he's not playing to the same level that he once was. So um, that doesn't happen with stud left tackles. They're not going to hit the free agents, hit the open market, and they're not going to be available for trade. So it has to be through the draft. In terms of left guard, I think there's definitely more options for them to sign in free agency. Like, there's many more like dart throws that they could essentially just throw out the dartboard and just try to figure out who could be their left guard. And they also have Cole Strange, Layden Robinson in the building if they end up really, really liking them, and if they think Doug Marrone and the rest of the coaching staff could develop them even more. But I think if I had to rank it in priority, I would put I would literally put it in order. I would put left tackle is the main priority, and I'm talking about offensive line. Left tackle is main priority, left guard is second priority, and then center is last. Just because I feel like they have more options in house, for a starting center. So I would put it like that. I do think that they bring in some sort of veteran for the left guard position to kind of compete with the younger guys. We'll see who it is, but I could definitely see them signing that position. Because if not, it's going to be what, like 3 or 4, maybe. I think, yeah, I would need to check 4, maybe 5 interior offensive linemen in the last 2 or 3 years of the draft. So I don't think you want to do that another year in a row and just keep adding to that room and just cutting guys that were recently top 100, top 150 draft picks. Genuinely, oh wait, I just read that one. Genuinely, who do you believe will be our number one wide receiver next season? Personally, I believe it will come from the draft. Yeah, I mean, like I just said it, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say like, oh, it better be like a T Higgins or something. Like, if that happens, that happens. But if we're being realistic, just from what we know right now, because obviously right now we don't know if that like who can become available, but from what we know right now, yes, I would imagine. I wouldn't even say it's someone from the draft, because you can't rely on a rookie, like, unless they take like a Tet McMillan, for example. Then it'll be like, okay, that you're going into the season assuming that he's your wide receiver one, and that's also if they don't sign Cooper Cup. But if you were to go into the season right now and not draft the Tet McMillan, but draft like I'm trying to think who's like a day 3, like this is more so like round two, but like a Jalen Knoll, you're not assuming Jalen Knoll is your wide receiver one. Um, you're gonna honestly go into the season with like a Mac Hollins as your wide receiver one. Not well, sorry, don't freak out. I was talking more like X, and then Demario. It would honestly be a lot of the same wide receivers from last season. So um, I do think that you can't rely on a rookie, especially a round two rookie, unless they're just some stud prospect that just ended up falling. So I know I'm seeing people in the comments saying that um, Jaden Higgins can come in and be our wide receiver one. Um, if I'm being honest, I would disagree, just because he's not he's not proven yet. Like you can't just sit here and say that he's going to be the wide receiver one. Jalen Polk could have easily been a wide receiver one, right? I think Jalen Polk could, if you took that same mentality and say like, oh, the guy that we drafted the highest in the draft is now our wide receiver one. Jalen Polk is the worst wide receiver one in NFL history, right? So you can't like just rely on a rookie. Not all rookies produce like wide receiver ones immediately. So you just can't go into the season with that mentality. So I would say that it would just, unfortunately, it wouldn't be wide receiver one, wide receiver two, wide receiver three. It would just be like a committee thing, even, and that obviously that's not ideal, but that's what would have to happen. Um, let's see. What's a bold? Sorry, let's see. What's a bold Patriots draft, trade, free agency prediction that you have? Um, I'll go with. Hmm. Should I pick? I don't want to pick one. Why not? I'll pick one each. Draft. A bold draft take I have is that. Hmm. I feel like, I mean, the draft is a little bit. It's a ways away, so that's why I'm kind of like. There's nothing really solidified right now. Um, I will say I'll put it like this. I would not be surprised, and this would be like a bold prediction. I would not be surprised if they don't take a wide receiver within the first and within day one and two. I think the earliest they might take a wide receiver is day three, just because of how many younger receivers they have in that room already. I'll put it like that. I think that if they take a receiver, I could definitely see them taking a receiver at the top of the fourth round. I'll make that my bold prediction. For trades you can't really predict. I guess my bold prediction is that they trade for T. Higgins and he becomes available, because the Bengals are run by people that are, I don't know what they're doing, and they just decide to let the market keep going up and not sign their players to long-term extensions. So there's a good chance that he ends up becoming available. And then for agency prediction, bold prediction. I'll say that the Patriots don't sign Cam Robinson. That'll be my bold prediction. And I'm not going to say it like, oh, they don't pony up and pay him. I think it's going to be him choosing to not come to New England. That'll be my bold prediction for free agency. Um, yeah, hopefully we can sign O-line help. When will they sign a wide receiver? I don't know, and there's not anyone to sign, honestly, other than Cooper Cup. Once Cooper Cup gets signed, it's like it's pretty much over with in the free agency market. If the Patriots sign Cup and draft a wide receiver, what current players stay and which do you cut? Um, I think everyone's favorite prediction for who would get cut if they keep adding to the receiver room is Kendrick Bourne. Even though I hate that, I kind of agree. Yes, he's like one of the older guys that, unless Cup makes a difference and they want to keep him with. And honestly, Josh McDaniels loves Kendrick Bourne too, so maybe not. But the ones that come to mind are, I don't think Kayshon Boutte has a solidified role, because if he was their X receiver last year and then they bring in true X's, um, he becomes the odd man out in a way. Um, I feel like I'm missing some. Javon Baker wouldn't have a solidified role, but I think it was no. It was the Boston Herald. They reported like 2 weeks ago that Javon Baker has built up a very strong relationship with Mike Vrabel, so maybe that helps him get on the team. Who knows? Mike Vrabel, honestly, I never really talked about it, but Mike Vrabel built a very good connection with the Browns offensive tackle DeJuan Jones, because he was overweight, and Vrabel he would do check-ins with him. This was an athletic piece about Mike Vrabel, that while he was with the Browns, he would do check-ins with DeJuan Jones, and he would come to him super happy, like I hit a new goal, like dropping weight. And Mike Vrabel wouldn't go to their away games. And DeJuan Jones actually went to Vrabel and asked if he could fly out to their away games just so he could be there. Um, so that tells you what kind of coach Mike Vrabel is and what kind of strong like bonds he builds with the players. So that's someone that Javon Baker might need. And if Vrabel, he's very loyal. Everyone talks about how loyal and stubborn he is. Like if he truly forms a very good bond with Javon Baker, then I don't see him getting cut. Um, it's Glorious King Zach Ventola. Thank you, I appreciate it. Everyone go follow Pat's Dot today on Instagram. Great page. And any Patriots today on Twitter. I think that's the handle. Sorry if I got it wrong, Zach. But that's all of them, I think. Let me go back to this. Okay. You're literally copy and pasting what I would put in your chat, Zach. Anyways, okay. Yeah, so those were all the questions you guys gave me. If you guys have any more to put in the chat, actually I missed this one earlier about Cooper Kupp. He could be going for more leverage from us by saying he wants to stay on the West Coast to get more money from. Yeah, that's essentially what DK Metcalf was doing. Like that whole report came out that he wanted to play in warm weather, and it was by multiple reporters. It wasn't just by one person. That seems like a leverage play that he was telling people that just so East Coast teams, aka the Patriots or the Steelers in this instance, just pay him more money. So that's definitely what he was going for, in my opinion. He started saying after he signed with them, he said that he never said that. I don't believe it. I think his team put that out on purpose. But yeah, Cooper Kupp might be saying that just so East Coast teams could pay him more money, or even whatever Midwest teams, same thing. But yeah, I do think that is it probably a leverage play. That's exactly what what's his name, Milton Williams did. Like the whole report that the Panthers were finalizing a deal with him, and then the Patriots ended up paying him. I think it was like 3 million more than what they were planning on. So it's like a normal thing that agents do, and they put out leaks. Like any little leaks, any reports you guys ever hear, any rumors are coming from somebody and they have an agenda behind them. That's one thing to always remember. So I'm not saying to read into the tea leaves every single time a report comes out, but just keep in mind whatever you're hearing as a fan of football, you're hearing it for a reason because someone wants you to hear it. So I'll just put it like that. Yeah, Zach, I saw that too. He did say like, I don't want to keep he said something along the lines of like, yeah, I don't want to keep like guessing when it might happen, but I could definitely see it happening tonight. Cause I'm pretty sure he was saying that it was going to happen like earlier today. So people are convinced that it's going to happen very quickly. Once again, the report that came out from, I think it was Karen Garigian from Mass Live. I'm pretty sure she's the one that said, yeah, she's the one that said that he was going to wait, or the Patriots were going to wait until his price dropped. My first thought was like, what do they plan on waiting for? I don't like if the whole rumor of him signing quickly is true, I don't understand how long they're expecting to wait, because if he wants $12 million and they want to pay him 10 million, you're not going to wait. I feel like that 2 million isn't going to change in just a couple hours. I feel like that's one of those things that changes after like a week or something like that. After a couple of days that you see like the free agent market isn't, begging you for your services as much as you would think. But yeah, we'll see when it happens. I'll definitely keep everything up to date on my page, and I'm going to always be checking my phone. Like I'm seeing that Jacob Martin just signed with the Commanders, little things like that. I'm always going to be paying attention, trying to get everything out as fast as possible. Yeah, I mentioned the Broncos as one of the locations or spots that I feel like he can go to. I think the Seahawks and Broncos are the most realistic for some. Broncos, it's a little bit less likely, but out of the two, I'll put it like that. But I could definitely see him going to the Broncos. I'd be shocked if his price drops significantly. He has like 5 teams. Yeah, like I don't understand what the Patriots are looking for. If it's true that they're waiting for his price to drop. I don't understand how they're expecting four other teams, if you include them, to be expecting the same thing in just a matter of a couple hours. So that I feel like it's trying, like Cooper Cup wants to move quickly with this decision. So it's not even gonna, it can't be like a patience game. It has to be like, if you want him, go get him. What do you think about saying? Nope, I'm good. Sorry. I'm very much good off of those two wide receivers. They're past their prime. They're not a Cooper Cup. I'll put it like that. Yeah. Zach, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I'll let you be the negative Nancy. I'll put it like that. Do you think he would rather play with Sam Darnold than Bo Nix or Drake May? Obviously, out of those three, bias aside, Drake May is the most talented. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I were to ask you that question about DK Metcalf's options and say, would you rather play with Drake May or no QB at all? What would you think, right? It would be Drake May. But DK Metcalf decided to go to the team that had no QB signed on roster until I think it was yesterday that they signed Mason Rudolph. So I don't even think the QBs make much of a difference because guys are just going to chase money at the end of the day. And if Cooper Kupp really cares about winning a championship, yes, he might like Drake May, but he knows that the Patriots aren't going to give him that championship right away. So, yeah, I think it's definitely an uphill climb for the Patriots to sign Cooper Kupp. Let's see. Quarterbacks are cool. Money is cool. Exactly. Like, yes, at the end of the day, Tom Brady got a lot of very good wide receivers to come to New England, but like, we don't have Tom Brady anymore. We don't have a 6-time Super Bowl champion or multi-time Super Bowl champion that's going to convince guys to not care about money, but hey, you'll be able to catch passes from the greatest quarterback of all time. That's not the case anymore. I appreciate it, Zach. You can if we're talking about cool, we can cool it down a little bit. You're going a little too crazy. But let me see. I did want to talk about what was it? One other thing that in the press conferences today, and just the overall like media, okay, you could call it like their media run today, the free agents and everyone. I did, and I know a lot of the talking points are about Morgan Moses. Man, what a guy! Morgan Moses was like the most entertaining and just like engaging guy to speak today. And he's I would not be shocked if he had that C patch on his chest come the season, because that is a guy that's going to set the culture in the locker room. And with Jonathan Jones, Dietrich Wise, and now David Andrews leaving the locker room, he is the exact type of person that you want in there. And that is the exact type of person you want taking guys like Caden Wallace under his wing, and Layden Robinson, Cole Strange, even if he ends up staying here long term. Like, that is exactly the type of guy that you want in your locker room. And that was definitely one of those guys that Vrabel, I don't know if he met with him beforehand. I don't know. I know Todd Downing, the Patriots wide receivers coach, obviously he was with the New York Jets last season. Maybe he spoke highly about him, but that is exactly the type of character that Mike Vrabel has been preaching about. So, sorry, the Bears just signed Jonah Jackson to an extension. Not our issue. All right. So, if you guys don't have any more questions left, I think I will be ending soon. So if you have any questions, any comments, literally anything, it could be about football, life, I don't really care. Just drop them in the chat. But if not, I will get off. I'm going to stall a little bit. I'm going to take a look at Twitter to see if there's anything last minute that we could talk about. Okay, Donnie, let's see. Do you think they could be looking at drafting a tight end that could play like a Brock Bowers? I don't know if the way you've structured that question was like a way of saying that we should get someone along the lines of Tyler Warren because he's like the. I'm not saying Tyler Warren is Brock Bowers, but he's like the most. If we're talking about mold, he's the closest to Brock Bowers in this draft, but he's nowhere near Brock Bowers. Um, I'll, there's no one in this class that's Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was a generational tight end, and I don't use that word lightly. So I'm gonna go with no because there's not one in this draft. But if we're talking about tight end in general, I think yes, they probably go with like a late third round, and then fourth, fifth, sixth round, like day 3 tight end, just to develop behind the 2 veterans that they have. Tet or Hunter a sure thing at 4? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that there's a good chance that if they, this is hypothetically, okay, if they sign a Cooper Kupp and they feel confident in a wide receiver room of Cooper Kupp, Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, Jalen Polk, if they feel confident that they can develop the younger guys, because I don't think they should give up on a second round and fourth round wide receiver, then I don't see why that would be like a lock. You know what I mean? I don't think a wide receiver has to be the very first pick that they make, especially at 4. Um, I would, I would, I would honestly assume that they'd prioritize taking like a Will Campbell or a left tackle if that were the case. Obviously, if I will say though, Travis Hunter at 4, I would say that's a sure thing, just because if they view him as the best wide receiver in the draft and the best cornerback in the draft, I would assume they have him at the top of their draft board. So if Hunter's at 4, yes, I'll say that's a sure thing. If Tet's at 4, which he will be, I wouldn't say that's a sure thing. I think I mentioned it earlier. Tet's closer to the wide receiver 2 in this draft than Will Campbell is to the offensive or the left tackle 2. That's the best way I could put it. I think we should be targeting Jaden Higgins, a running back, and then tight end like Ferguson out of Oregon. Yeah, it's definitely like the type of draft that they're going to be able to take young guys that they can develop them and not pressure them into playing roles other than maybe like a tackle, for example, but not pressure them into playing roles that they're not ready for. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you that they'll take Will Campbell at 4, even if Travis is on the board? You're at a 10 that you're scared. Honestly, I can't even like say that you're wrong to be I can't even say that you're wrong to be at a 10, because if Travis is on the board, like I said, I could see them taking him over Will Campbell. If Abdul Carter is on the board at 4, and then my scale rating would be higher. I'll put it like that. Like I'll make it like a 2. I'll put it at a 2 for Travis being on the board and being afraid that they'll take Will Campbell instead. If Abdul Carter's on the board, I'll put it like at a 5.5. I'll put it like that. Donnie, I will say this: if having someone on staff that can develop wide receivers, it'll be interesting the way their development works, because with Todd Downing not having any experience as a wide receivers coach, it's like there's no one to teach them the technical stuff of playing wide receiver. But he used to be a offensive coordinator, quality control coach, passing game coordinator, something along those lines as well. And he's the type of coach that could teach them like this route, you're gonna stop on a dime after 5 yards and curl back, like stuff like that. He could definitely develop them with, and I feel like that's something the Patriots have had issues with for a long time now. So maybe not necessarily with the technical stuff. Then again, it's like these guys are NFL wide receivers. Like how much more technical stuff do they need to learn? Someone like Cooper Kupp could definitely come in and teach them little tips and tricks. But I'm not going to be a homer and say like, oh, I'm so confident that they're going to develop the wide receivers. But I do think that Todd Downing's experience as just an offensive coach in general is going to be beneficial for them. But I am worried. I'll put it like that. Best Boston podcast that covers all 4 Boston sports. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. There's this one that I've heard though that's there is one that I've heard of. It's like on the tip of my tongue that I can't remember for some reason. I'll get back to you on that one because I know there's one that comes to mind. That's definitely like the best one that I'd recommend for everyone to follow. Um, I remember now. I remember. It's the Boston Banner Blueprint podcast. You guys should all go listen to that one because it's definitely the best one. Shout out Nate. Nate's a really cool guy. Let's see. There's been too many the Patriots level Campbell records for my comfort. I think that's just coming out for a reason that if Will Campbell is there at 4, it'll make teams possibly want to trade up for him if they want to trade back. This is me kind of just spitballing and making it seem like, oh, like like my little conspiracy, but I don't think it's for sure. Like if Travis is there, I think they're taking Travis, like without a doubt. Yeah, of course. All right. So with that being said, let me just check one last time. Let me scroll through Twitter one last time. All right. Looks like nothing is showing up. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat that, engaged with me and just talked Patriots with me, because that's definitely my favorite thing to do, and it might be like an unhealthy obsession. But I'll definitely try to go live again next week, hopefully with Andrew. We're definitely gonna be getting some special guests on in the near future, so we'll keep that under wraps for now. But we're gonna have people on. We're gonna be able to talk more Patriots moves, and the draft is creeping up on us. I believe it's like a month and maybe like a week or two away. So Patriots are about to look very, very different from last year to this year. So I hope you guys are excited. Once again, thank you everyone for joining in, and I will catch you all for the next stream. Thank you guys.